Yo, what up, everybody? Right when I got mad at Brum for saying I move around too much to start the show moving around on camera. What's happening, y'all? Welcome in. It is Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. T-Bob and Aaron Murray hanging out with you once again here on Snaps, your new favorite college football podcast. We do this every single day here on the Volume Sports YouTube channel. We're very excited to be here, and we thank you if you are here hanging out with us. Well, we got a great show for you planned today because as the college football news cycle tends to do, it provides. And this time it provided in the form of Lane Kiffin as our Takesgiving is kicking off, not just with a delicious egg bowl coming up on Thanksgiving night, but a delicious pre-egg bowl media drama-filled cycle that we will get into. First, let me welcome in your QB1, the dazzlingly good-looking Santa Claus himself, as he once again has a red sweatshirt on, Mr. Aaron Murray. Aaron, what's up, brother?
I'm thankful on this Thanksgiving week that T-Bob, for the first time this year, placed a freaking bet.
Wow!
Within 5 minutes of me saying to him, "This is a compliment, T-Bob. I'm not hating on you. I'm trying to be nice here on this thankful week. I am thankful to you for placing the bet before the lines moved one way or the other. So, gracias, senor. I'm taking Ole Miss, even with all this craziness that we're about to get in. 2.5 points on FanDuel, promo code SNAPS. 2.5 points against Mississippi State this week. And you want to know why? It's going to rain. It's going to be nasty. It's about 90% chance of rain on Thursday. And you know what team wins in the rain, T-Bob? The team that runs the damn ball. So yes, we'll see if they can push back all the crazy distractions. They're going to come out, I heard, in gray sweatpants in the pregame, even in the rain, and true Lane Kiffin style. So it should be a fun night on Thursday night.
Yeah, so we did go on AMP for about 20 minutes earlier, and we went deep into the Lane Kiffin thirst trap.
Deep.
Deeper than we're going on YouTube, for the record.
Yes, I was about to say.
Okay,
is there any way for them to find that conversation, though? Could you attach it as a bonus at the end of the podcast? Do like a little
I hope not.
Basically tell the people, look, if you stick around, you'll get some Lane Kiffin phallus talk at the end of the pod. I don't know. We can figure that out later. Hey, you know who I love and I'm thankful for? Everybody hanging out with us here in the chat. everybody. And yes, I did vote yes for myself that I am a good bookie because I have gained Aaron points constantly. But everybody in the chat, Andy J, Kirby, yeah, it's me, all Dart Jameis, Miss Mary Embroidery, Kirby's Visor, A Barge, Dylan Meadows, Bernard, Lance, Blake, all of our guys. We love it so much. We love doing this show, and we love you for helping us grow this show. If you want to help, hit the like button. Subscribe to the Volume Sports YouTube channel, and then really help us grow the pod. Okay, the pod's doing great. We want it to continue to do great. So if you could rate it and review it, share it with your friends, that helps. Oh, Janus, not Jameis. Okay, excuse me. I got Jameis Winston in mind. Darth Janus. But
I love how he corrected you using like anus with a J.
Well, he knows the way to my heart. Also, I mean, look, just from a purely phonetic standpoint, that is the quickest route to getting there, right? Too often in pursuit of maybe not offending other adults, like what was he going to say? Like what word works better there than anus, bro? Like find me the word that works better and then we can talk.
It's a bit of an everything rhymes with anus, nothing rhymes with anus situation.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Look, but whatever. The point of all this is just share the pod, okay? Rate and review it. Please the algorithmic gods that rule our existence and sign up for FanDuel, promo code SNAPS to make our bosses happy. FanDuel's got some incredible World Cup deals going on right now. Remember, every Thursday, you get a free $10 same game parlay to use on NFL games. It is a ton of fun. A-Barge nailed it. Greg Louganis. Oh, and here we go. Heinous. Okay, starting to come through a little bit. Nice job, guys. I'm proud of y'all. All right, let's start. And so on the docket today, we're going to talk some Lane. We're going to talk some Ohio State, Michigan, some USC, Notre Dame. Maybe even talk a little EA Sports. It's in the game, or is it? As EA Sports announcing that NCAA football it could be pushed back to 2024. But let's start with the story of the day, which is Lane Kiffin. The Lane train to the plains, ? As a local TV newsman, John Sokoloff, he does TV news in Starkville, covers all of Mississippi. And if we want to give him some bona fides, we didn't talk about this on AMP, but this is the man that broke the John Cohen news. When John Cohen left Mississippi State and went to Auburn, he was actually first on that, and he was right, whatever that is worth. I'm assuming he's probably using the same sources here or similar sources when he says breaking, Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin plans to step down as the Rebels head coach Friday, head to Auburn to become the Tigers' next head coach, according to sources. Here's where it gets a little weird. Sources say the Tigers haven't officially offered the job to anyone yet, so Lane to Auburn is happening. Story soon. As we broke down, that was then followed up with Lane Kiffin a bit later on. Well, actually, first off, tweeting a picture of him in gray sweatpants, reading a book about the Egg Bowl. Then he follows it up with a direct quote tweet of Sokoloff and says, "That's news to me, John." Facepalm emoji. Nice sources with a red circle with a line, no smoking emoji, a angry purple demon emoji, and then a wooden chair followed by a plate with a fork and a knife. I interpret this as, nice sources, not I'm angry and you just eat it up. Y'all are all just eating up this fake news. Yeah, or something. Yes, maybe like I'm going to eat you up here on this app. I don't know exactly what it is there, but the gist of it is Lane saying your sources are garbage. That is not true, or at least intimating that. He then, Lane Kiffin, has someone type up and print out a sheet of paper that he takes a picture of that says, "This just in, breaking news, John Sokoloff of WCBI News in Starkville, Mississippi plans to step down as lead anchor and head to WLOX to become their new lead anchor. Sources say WLOX hasn't offered the job to anyone yet, so John to WLOX is happening. Story soon." So Lane obviously offering a commentary on how easy it is to create one of these stories. A lot of drama, a lot of fun, a lot of schadenfreude. Aaron Murray, what do you think? What is true here? Is Lane Kiffin actually going to become Auburn's head coach on Friday?
Listen, I do think it's true.
Wow.
I know we talk about is he is this a credible source? And you did bring up a good point of the stories that he has already broken here in the past month. But I think if this was going to leak, it would be with the McMurphys of the world, would be the first ones to really have a good hold of, okay, this is what's going down. The one thing that I do agree with was if it is true when it comes to essentially the message that was posted is yes, I don't think there's been essentially a contract put in front of Lane Kiffin saying, hey, here is on a piece of paper, your terms, here you go. All we need is your John Hancock, and you will be the next head coach there for the Auburn University Tigers. So I don't think that has been presented necessarily, but I do think that there has been terms discussed between his agent and Auburn about what the finer details of the contract will be, what the money, the years, incentives, the buyout, all that. Like, I think a lot of that has been kind of most likely ironed out at this stage because, of course, these conversations are being had behind closed doors. They have to. Like, there is a sense of urgency for Auburn. And the reason why we've talked all year, why do you fire your head coach in the middle of the season? Why do you fire for teams like Nebraska? Why do you fire your coach after week 4? Is so that your university can start to have these conversations with head coaches and, well, I guess not even head coaches, but with agents of these head coaches to figure out what terms have to be met so that when we do press play, which is going to happen after this season, we should see a lot of news starting to really flow, I would say on Sunday, Monday, that these guys are ready to go. We can bring them in-house. We can get going when it comes to signing kids in the portal. We can get going to signing guys before the first signing day here in December. A lot is going to happen next month. You need to be ready to hit play. So I fully anticipate, to me, I've said it all along, Lane makes the most sense. I think Lane would be silly not to jump on this opportunity. And I would expect them to announce it, if Lane is the guy, on Friday. And then all day Saturday, during the Iron Bowl between Alabama and Auburn, all we're going to talk about and listen to is Lane Kiffin, the war chest that Auburn's created in NIL, the new facilities they have, and how Lane Kiffin is going to just bring in the most talented transfer kids out there, or portal kids out there, to rebuild this team to get ready for the 2023 season. Why would you not take that opportunity to be on national television and hit that storyline over and over and over and over again? And then, two, if you're worried about Cadillac winning, and then obviously the energy that he could create by beating Alabama, you sort of eliminate that before the game even starts.
So, a few things there. First off, on the Sokolov front, I don't think he's pulling this out of thin air. Like, I agree with you. There is something very solid there. However, like Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated says at this time of the year, during silly season, the coaching carousel season, consider everything, but believe nothing. I mean, the exact situation you're talking about, Aaron, actually happened to LSU on Thanksgiving a few years ago against Texas A&M, where they're playing A&M, they're beating up on A&M. Ed Ogeron is the interim head coach, and the entire time they are talking about how Tom Herman is going to be the next head coach at LSU. And he was. That was a deal agreed to in principle. Now, the contract was not signed, but it was agreed to in principle. And before they signed the deal, it is pretty well believed. I mean, maybe I have to tag allegedly on here, but I feel like it's accepted as truth that Trace Armstrong, his agent, leaks the deal to incentivize Texas to start to act. And obviously, you've already had some of that playing one side off of the other going on, because we know that Ole Miss offered Lane $9 million a year, making a top 10 contract. But like, we have seen so many situations where stuff is done until it isn't, until it blows up. Jimbo to LSU was a done deal until Les Miles ends up getting carried off of the field after beating A&M. And then the president's like, well, I don't want to pay all this money to fire this man when our state's going through economic issues, yada, yada, yada. LSU even had a group of boosters fly to Norman, Oklahoma last year to meet with Lincoln Riley for a meeting that never actually took place. They flew there and flew back. That's how tricked and convinced they were. And these are very well-connected, high people that was happening. So I don't think this is a sign that anything is done. What I do think this is a sign of, yes, Jimmy Sexton is playing Auburn and Ole Miss against one another. I still have no idea what Lane is going to do. We kind of discussed this. He does not outright say no, but he does intimate that he is not going anywhere when saying that's news to me. Nice sources, seeming a little frustrated, a little angry. Does any of this reflect negatively on Lane? After years of saying, come to the SIP, commit to me here, like come do this. Yeah. And then these tweets where he's kind of like, I'm not leaving, basically. Does any of it reflect negatively on Lane? Like the same way we still bring up the Nick Saban clip from back in the day. Does any of this hurt him reputation-wise, or do you think none of it matters at the end?
I think Ole Miss fans are going to be pissed off regardless. Whether he would have come out and obviously been forthright and just said, hey, listen, this is my last game and I do plan on taking the job at Auburn starting Friday morning. Or if he's kind of like just, slow playing this, not committing, obviously wants his team and everyone to focus on this rivalry game to get to 9 wins here on Thursday night. So, and then if he would have decided after that, hey, good morning, everyone. We just won last night. And oh, by the way, I'm leaving to go to Auburn. Like they're going to be mad one way or the other. And in our chat right now, there's a lot of people bringing up Jamie Chadwell, head coach of Coastal Carolina, actually have their game this weekend. And it was really interesting. I had Coastal 2 weeks ago as well. And, he gets asked a ton about this. And we asked him before the game of, there's going to be a lot of movement. There's going to be some coaches moving, especially once this job at Auburn starts and someone takes it, the dominoes are then going to kind of, start to fall a little bit. Where are you with this? You've done great at Coastal Carolina. How do you handle this situation with your players? And he said straight up, like, I'm honest with them. Like, I literally get in front of the football team. I let them know that, hey, guys, I've been contacted by this school, this school, this school. I've taken an interview with this school, and this is where we're at. Like, he's like, if these guys want to be treated like grown men, I'm not going to leave them in the dark. Like, first off, with media nowadays and everything and people trying to break stories left and right, they're going to hear the noise. I would prefer them to hear it from me. And I thought that's pretty big. And I agree with it, man. Yes. Like, these kids aren't idiots. Like, if you're in the Ole Miss locker room right now, you're not an idiot. Lane Kiffin is a hell of a coach. Lane Kiffin deserves to be recognized as that. And Lane Kiffin deserves to have the opportunity to be the next head coach at Auburn. You get that. You committed to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin for that reason, because you knew that he's a great coach. So you're not oblivious to what's going on in the outside world. So I think for Lane, like, there's nothing wrong with being upfront and honest, at least with his teammates in the meetings of, guys, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. There's a job opening there at Auburn. I am considering it. I want to get that out of the way. But when I'm in this building right now, and as we get ready for Thursday night, I am committed to you. And I'm committing to winning the game versus Mississippi State. And then it's done. Boom, over with, let's move on. So I kind of like the approach from Chadwell.
I love the approach from Chadwell. It makes me like him even more. And if Lane would leave, that would make so much sense. It would make too much sense for Ole Miss to go get Jamie Chadwell. He represents all the schematic advantages we're talking about. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the perfect step up. A lot of times, because Ole Miss is definitely a premier Power 5, but not a premier Power 5, or at least it's how we think of it now, unless maybe Lane stays there and ends up changing that kind of perspective. I do find it, I didn't consider that, but I think you're right, maybe in terms of Lane getting ahead of this, because if he doesn't say anything, then it's going to affect his team negatively. If you say, well, if he tells them that he's going to Auburn or thinking about that, won't they be pissed then? Yes, they will be as well. But I agree with Aaron, that's kind of the lesser of two evils. Like, everybody enjoys to know where they stand in a relationship, even if it's maybe what you don't want. Like, even if you want the relationship to continue, you still appreciate honesty. You still appreciate knowing what the score is, so you're not out here looking like an idiot and maybe backing up a coach that is going to leave you. I wonder if he's doing this. I could definitely see it in his personality to do so. Maybe he's already told them he is staying, but and then you just, who knows what Jimmy Sexton is telling to do, right, in all this. Like, maybe Lane's even made up his mind personally, but Sexton's like, well, don't say anything yet publicly, because I think I can squeeze a few extra dollars here. I think I can get that buyout bumped up to $50 million here. Like, Sexton is moving all the chess pieces against himself and getting everyone paid. The wild part about this is it sets up what was already a pretty fascinating Egg Bowl. I mean, this is a rivalry that, even if both teams were winless, still has a lot of juice, because both teams desperately hate one another. But think about this, Aaron. When you think about the season that Ole Miss has had, and you think about the season that Mississippi State has had, it probably feels like the Ole Miss season has been significantly better, right? But come Thursday night, if Mississippi State wins that game, all of a sudden you look up, both teams are 8-4, 4-4 in the SEC. So despite their feeling like they've been two completely different years, that would be Mike Leach kind of laughing as, here y'all are all praising Lane, and I just did the exact same thing that man did. Whereas on the flip side, if Ole Miss wins, not only do they drive down their most hated rival to a paltry 7-5, 3-5 in the SEC, but they go to 9-3. They finish 5-3 in the SEC, third in the SEC West. They have a chance to win 10 games for a second year in a row with a bowl game. So even narratively, from a standing standpoint, there's so much on the line. And I guess my big question in all of this, we talked about the weather affecting this game. How does Lane's team respond to these rumors? Because I got to be honest, they didn't respond very well last week, Aaron. I mean, that's a team that looked completely unfocused, out of sorts, and got their absolute ass kicked in Fayetteville.
Well, I will say this: Arkansas is playing ever since we saw them versus LSU, and I think the issue was when they placed LSU was KJ Jefferson was not in that ball game. I mean, this is a team, I had them a few weeks ago, that has been banged up. The defense has just been decimated by injuries. KJ's been in and out of the lineup. They really haven't had to get any rhythm. Arkansas is a lot better football team than what we've seen throughout the season. Not saying that Ole Miss should have got the absolute shit beat out of them like they did last weekend, but this is a good Arkansas team that if KJ's been healthy all year, if the defense was healthier during the season, probably should have one or two more wins on the resume. So I'm not shocked necessarily that Arkansas won. I am shocked at the fashion that they did it and just how much they were just more physical. And Ole Miss had 700 yards. They just couldn't execute in the red zone. Every time they got in the red zone, they would shoot themselves in the foot with a holding penalty, an offsides penalty, get behind the chains. They'd go for it on fourth down. They wouldn't get points. I mean, they moved the ball. They just could not figure out what the heck was going on inside the 20-yard line, unfortunately. So, listen, at the end of the day, that's just there's two things that need to be considered. Is Auburn a better job than Ole Miss? Yes. Is Ole Miss, for a coach's standpoint, the safer of the two gigs? Yes. Does Lane Kiffin want to win a championship? That's the ultimate question. Does Lane Kiffin want to take the next step in his career and legitimately put himself in a position to compete for championships and not worry about the safety of staying at Ole Miss, collecting a check, and being happy?
He doesn't have to do that now, though. Right? Like if he's going to continue to perform like this at Ole Miss, he can make that jump later on, in theory. Like if he can bring Ole Miss to a consistency that they've never had before.
But then you're playing the game of – then you're playing your two games. You're playing the game of staying at that level. And that's not easy to do in this league. Like we're looking at it right now. I keep bringing up the example, but I think it's a very good example of Kentucky. Like Mark Stoops got Kentucky to the top of the mountain, and they were the number 2 team in the East. And people are like, that's still a basketball school. Obviously, Ole Miss is a different situation, but that's a basketball school. And how long can he maintain that level of consistency? Then all of a sudden now Tennessee's better. Florida has a new coaching staff, and they look like they're recruiting. They got a quarterback that's developing, and maybe Florida takes that next step next year. South Carolina is winning football games. Like now all of a sudden Kentucky's coming down the hill. You look at the SEC West, Alabama ain't going anywhere. LSU is definitely not going anywhere, their coaching staff. A&M is a ton of talent. Sam Pittman's building a good culture there at Arkansas. You got Texas and Oklahoma coming soon. So like at the end of the day, like how much longer is Ole Miss going to consistently stay at that 9-win mark? And, and all of a sudden in 2 or 3 years, if they drop to 6 wins or 7 wins, then all of a sudden is he viewed as highly as like right now he's a hot commodity. Right now he is the top coach out there in the open market. Why miss out on an opportunity to go to a place that can win a championship to maybe say the what if game in 3 or 4 years, another job may open that could be as good or better. It's hard to predict the future, T-Bob. Like why wait when you can take something right now where you know?
Well, no, I guess, yeah. Yeah, I guess in my in my head when I'm thinking about Lane staying, I'm in my head, I'm not framing it as he's like, oh, I'm going to wait for a better job. What I'm thinking is maybe he genuinely thinks like, no, I think I can do this at Ole Miss. And I don't like some of the situation at Auburn right now. And then maybe in like 2 or 3 years, he, or like 4 years, whatever, like maybe he eventually comes to a place where he's like, you know what? I don't think it's going to work. And look, since he has been at Ole Miss in 3 years, and we'll move on here in a second, but since he has been there, he has essentially had a blank, just an automatic rubber stamp yes for whatever he has wanted, right? More NIL money, more better facilities. He needs this campaign, like whatever he has needed. Oxford has given him rubber stamp, and now they're trying to give him the big contract to keep him. So they're doing everything. So like, yeah, I could see where he's happy. He thinks this is sustainable because, well, hell, look at where he started versus where he is now. Right? Like in theory, winning only helps you gain in momentum and establish that consistency that you want. And also, like, I think Lane Kiffin's probably a better coach than Mark Poops is. We've talked about that at length. And what do you think about this, Aaron? Does the 12-team playoff change the math at all? Because all of a sudden that postseason, that is everybody's goal, that is the key to winning championships, that postseason is more open than it was before.
Yeah, I think that's for a lot of coaches. It opens things up a lot more, but it still goes back to my thought of why Auburn is a better job. Then all of a sudden you can go to Auburn, not necessarily feel like you have to beat Nick Saban, Alabama in the first few years as kind of Nick's on his way out, and still get Auburn in a position to make the 12-team playoff. Like, let's just play this scenario out. Lane Kiffin takes the job. He brings over Judkins. I guarantee you if Lane takes the job at Auburn, there is no doubt in my mind that Judkins, who is from the state of Alabama, would not use his one free pass to go follow his head coach, who just helped him produce an incredible season. So you get the best running back in the SEC. Boom. You got him locked up. Boom. You go get 15 to 20 other top recruits. Lane can turn this into an Auburn football team into a 9-win team plus in 2 seasons, just when we're expanding to that 12-team playoff. So could he do it at Ole Miss? Yeah, he could do it at Ole Miss. I think it's more likely and more consistent of him doing it at Auburn and get that team to the playoffs without having to hear everyone bitching and moaning about, oh, you didn't beat Alabama. You didn't beat, well, who cares? I got you to the playoffs. And guess what? Saban only has a couple more years left. Let's suck it up.
Alabama.
I think if you get to the playoffs, you're fine.
You have to beat Alabama. You have to beat Alabama. That's the whole
I don't think he has
thing.
to in the first 2 years. I don't think he has to in the first 2 years.
You better beat him by year 3. In year 3 or 4, he has to pull one off. I mean, that is the whole thing about the Auburn
by
job,
year
right?
3,
is to
when
raise
you
level
get
of
them back,
expectation.
When you get them back at Auburn year 3, so let's say next year it's at Auburn. Because we know it's a game that is mostly, if you're going to win at Auburn, you're going to win it at home. Year 1's at Auburn. Chance of them doing it slim, but maybe. Like, what's it like? What is Alabama going to be next year? Who is going to be their quarterback? I look at the transfer market right now, the portal. I don't see a lot of quarterbacks out there that, to me, take Alabama to the next level. So they're going to have to get someone in-house, and I don't think they have that guy in-house. So what is Alabama going to be next year? Maybe you do get them next year if you can, you could do your thing in the transfer portal. But I do agree, like year 3, when you get them back at home, I think you got to make that game extremely competitive. And I do think you need to be able to push them to possibly win that football game.
Jose in the chat says, Lane only looks out for himself. I think, look, that's where I think this is all interesting. I think that has always been the opinion of Lane, and to his detriment. And then I feel like he had to go to the Alabama coaching halfway house and kind of rebuild his reputation. And I wonder if he were to make this move and then it does not go well at Auburn, does he kind of spike himself forever? I don't know.
Got to take a chance.
I don't know. I am basing this on nothing. I think he's staying. I'm not basing on any information. It's a pure gut feeling. And you think he's gone, Aaron. You think he's gone to Auburn. I mean, you've kind of beaten me down with this. I started at no way, and then you kind of brought me around.
Then
but
who's taking it then? Who's taking it then?
Oh, I don't know.
It doesn't seem like Dion. I think it seems like but give me your damn opinion. Who are they going? Is it Freeze? Like, who's left? Are they going to go completely out of left field?
Matt Rhule just reportedly, Brum, if you can, I see a couple articles here, but I don't know, Brum, if you want to see if you can find any concrete as for some light breaking news, but it's being rumored right now that Matt Rhule turned down Nebraska. Have you seen this?
I'm looking now.
Okay. Look and let me know what you get. All right, Aaron, any more thoughts on
sucks.
Shut up, Aaron Murray. Idiot.
Awful.
Lincoln is good.
No one.
Dennis Dodd
Nebraska.
So Dennis Dodd, the CBS reporter, seems to have intimated that Matt Rhule turned down Nebraska. Because what Matt Rhule needs to do is what his favorite thing to do is go on television and make excuses for why he sucked in the pros.
Where is this Matt Rhule venom coming from?
Yeah,
bro, I'm like, he texted us a clip earlier of Matt Rhule being like, I think one thing I screwed up is I wish I would have been closer to my players. And he's talking about I could blame COVID, but really it's on me or something. That in year 3 I was really getting close to them. What has Matt Rhule done to you, Brum? Where did he touch you?
So I have this thing where I like my guys who are going to come up and pay $100 million to speak publicly in front of people to not say stupid things on camera. It's like wildly
but here's my deal.
Things.
I don't know if I took it as wildly stupid as
I don't think it was as
you
stupid
do.
either.
Yeah. I think it was just a little honest from a coach that tried to make the jump to the NFL.
He blamed Mask on not being able to connect with his players.
No, he said he doesn't blame COVID.
Yes, he fucking did.
Yes.
I read,
we got
fired
up. We got an F word out of him, dude. Let's go.
I thought it was somewhat blaming COVID for I didn't get to build the chemistry with my team. It's hard to build that and that trust factor essentially because of
what Nick Saban did during COVID? Win a national championship.
You know what you can't do?
That's Nick Saban, though. It's a different beast.
Brum, you know what you can't do during COVID? Ropes courses. How the hell are you supposed to build team chemistry if you can't go do a ropes course?
Trust falls. How are you supposed to do a trust fall if you can't touch?
Exactly.
Come on.
If I can't climb over you and reach the top of the wall and then reach down and pick you up, we're never going to play good football together. Okay. It's not Matt Rhule's fault. It was the virus's fault. And here Brum goes with his
Matt Rhule seems like a guy who uses the term Wuhan flu unironically. That's all I'm going to say.
No, you really think so? I think now you are ascribing some things to Matt Rhule that I don't feel. Bean, what is a ropes course? Oh, bro. If you've ever gone to a workplace team bonding ropes course, it is the ideal way to form some new relationships. You have to work together to accomplish goals. It breaks down social anxieties and breaking the ice because you're able to clearly bond over this new activity you're doing together. There is nothing better than a great ropes course for building team chemistry. Any team, sales team, work team. In fact, Snaps should do a ropes course and film it for content.
Yes.
That we will never reach the numbers that we want to until we do a ropes course. Just trust me on that. Okay. Actually, A. Barge might be right. He said, I voted Rhule's a fool because he made Joe Brady OC in the NFL without any OC experience. Daniel
Basham asked, would T catch you in a trust fall, Aaron? I do think T would. I would attempt to catch T-Bob, but T-Bob is he's a big man.
It's like you always say, Aaron, don't be a little bitch. Catch me. Put your body on the line. Put your body on the line. Bro, Brum is huge, remember? Brum's secretly 6'4".
Yeah. Yeah. I was very shocked when I met Brum there in Baton Rouge. I was like, oh, damn, Brum, I see you. I see a big guy.
Yeah. No, I know. It's very intimidating. It's probably how he's gotten so far in life. He's just tall and people assume that he's competent because of it. See, poor Matt Rhule is out here having to make it as like a 5'9" Brody. I actually don't know how tall Matt Rhule is. Let's look it up.
He interviews like he's 5'7". Let's just put it that way.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Are you being heightist now, Brum? Unbelievable.
I can't wait for in 3 years for Nebraska to be like the top team in their conference and Matt Rhule leading some team to national championship.
Matt Rhule 5'6",
ripping us.
Oh, wow. No. Matt Rhule's 5'6". Exactly, dude. He's having to fight, make it in this life. Okay. We're losing the thread here. Nebraska's a great job. I'm glad that we all
It's not.
agree. It's probably the best available job. I'm glad that we agreed and ended this conversation on that.
Nebraska.
Now, let's talk about the biggest game of the weekend.
Woo.
You already know, man. A little Big Ten football in there, and I cannot help it as we sit here, and it's finally some cold weather in Louisiana. It feels very holiday-like right now. Already, I've got a bit of Thanksgiving senioritis kicking in. There is nothing that feels more like a Norman Rockwell painting than undefeated Ohio State against undefeated Michigan, both teams in the top 5, freezing cold weather, an outdoor battle, a Michigan team that wants to run the ball with elite O-line play. It is a thing of beauty. It is Christmas. It is Thanksgiving. It is football at its core. It is the 1950s. It is a mythological version of America that never quite existed, and I cannot wait to watch these two teams do battle this weekend. The question is, what's the deal with Blake Corum? Because it does feel like a lot of this may come down to that. And Michigan offensive tackle Ryan Hayes, Aaron, may have slipped up in the media a bit this week, unless he's playing a little next level game. He told a reporter, quote, on Blake Corum, quote, "He's a great player, but everybody else is going to have to step up with him out." Close quote. Ooh. I don't know if that is true or not, but he did say that. Aaron, can Michigan win if Blake Corum doesn't play?
No, I don't think Michigan wins regardless if Blake Corum was healthy or not healthy, to be honest. I think this is, and I know you say freezing cold weather. I think the high is like 50 degrees. So it actually should be a somewhat pleasant day. Yeah, it's not going to be snowing like it was last year in the game. So Ohio State fans are jumping up and down right now. It does look like it's going to be a little bit of rain on Friday that may leak a little bit into Saturday. And it is a 11 a.m. kickoff. So it may be a little bit wet. So that's the issue right now. Like for Ohio State fans, it's, praying, hoping and praying and wishing that the weather does stay away, because if it does, like we just talked about, a reason why I put a somewhat significant bet on Ole Miss for Thursday night. Ole Miss can run the football. Mississippi State, that's not what they want to do. So if it's raining, obviously pick the team that's more physical, pick the team that can run the football. And the same thing could be said for this game. The reason why Michigan dominated last year, it was cold. They were more physical up front. Their style of play, it was at home in the big house. They dominated. They ended up going on to win the Big Ten, going to the playoffs. These are two very, very different football teams. Ohio State wants to be more finesse. Michigan wants to be more physical, and as they should. That offensive line is tremendous. They are going to be one of the best, if not the best offensive lines this entire season, and they've shown it week in and week out. But if you don't have Corum, and something that I've hit on a bajillion times this season, and you rely on J.J. McCarthy to win you the football game, it is not going to happen versus this year's Ohio State defense, who has been more physical up front, that's been better overall, that has shown a little bit of weaknesses against the pass vertically down the field, but that's not what Michigan can do. JJ is a guy that throws the drag route, he throws the quick out, he throws the tailback screen. That is his comfort zone. You're not all of a sudden in the 12th game of the season going to say, okay, JJ, guess what? You haven't done it all year, but let's start throwing some daggers and posts and goes and corners and put you into that situation. Like, you are who you are at this point in the season. And Michigan is not that type of football team. So, yes, I am worried about Michigan and what they can do. And their defense has been great, but once again, who have they faced, man? Who is Michigan really faced that is to the caliber of Ohio State's offense and CJ Stroud and company? No one. They're really going to test the secondary.
The closest would be Talia Tagovailoa, maybe, just in terms of the best quarterback that they faced. And look, that's another. By the way, Rick Sanchez, before I forget, in the chat says Ryan Hayes, tackle Ryan Hayes, that his quote was an answer to a question of what if Blake is out. So for whatever that is worth, he was responding to that. But both these teams are coming out of battles. Like Talia and Maryland actually gave Ohio State a bit of a fight last week. And then obviously Illinois gave it everything that Michigan wanted. And then some, of course, Blake Corum not there in the second half. I guess, the question is, I know that Ohio State's defense is improved this year, Aaron Murray. But in the same breath as we ask who has Michigan played, we can kind of say who has Ohio State played. And we can point to a Notre Dame game in which the defense was dominant, but that Notre Dame offense was not the Notre Dame offense that USC is going to see Saturday. Like, there is a direct correlation between Notre Dame being like, okay, no, we're just going to start pounding it, and the recent run they have been on. They were still trying to run Tommy Rees, Tyler Buckner, like more of a spread attack, where they finally realized they just need to go a bit more old school and rely on their offensive line. And so my question is, yes, the stats are better for Ohio State this year. They're up to number 9 in total defense of the country from 59 last year. Their pressure rank when it comes to passing, which shouldn't matter too much this game, is up to number 2 from number 38 last year. But last year, this Michigan O-line, which won the Joe Moore Award, and which is, again, fan-freaking-tastic this year, they dominated Ohio State's defensive line. They ran for 7.2 yards a carry. They ran for 297. This year, that Wolverine O-line, they run inside zone or some variation of inside zone, Aaron, 45% of the time. So they're not really hiding what they want to do. And the only reason that works is because as a group, it's kind of funny. The Ohio State offensive line actually has more kind of NFL talent on it, but Michigan's O-line is the ultimate. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And if you think about an O-line like a fist, right? I don't care how big all your fingers are. If you can't coordinate them into, where everybody's on the same page, where you're not going to be able to get anything done. I wonder, for all the improvement, can Ohio State's D-line and defense hold up this year and avoid letting Michigan control the game? Because that's going to be the way to make up for Marvin Harrison Jr. and CJ Stroud and all these incredible skill players that they have. I would believe, at least, would be that Michigan offense basically dictating the pace of the game.
Yeah, 100%. Can you dictate the pace of the game? Can you put, CJ Stroud and them into third and long situations, make them one-dimensional? What does Ohio State struggle with this season at times? It's themselves being physical and running the football. Can you win first and second down? I think for Michigan on both sides of the football, that's going to be the key. Can you get to third and manageable? Because you don't want J.J. McCarthy getting into situations where he has to take 5-step, 7-step drops from under center and then throwing more sophisticated route concepts down the field. Can you get to third and manageable where you can still run the football possibly? Yeah. He can use his legs to get the first down, or you're in the sandbox of what he likes to do. Throw the quick game, get the ball out of his hands nice and easy, and then get first downs that way. So for them, win first and second down. You same thing on defense. Can you win first and second down? Can you essentially eliminate and make Ohio State one-dimensional, which we've seen from this offense at times this year? There have been multiple times where this offensive line's not been physical. They've been made one-dimensional. And I think if Michigan can do that with their talented defensive line, then all of a sudden you put CJ Stroud into that situation where he's having to take 5 and 7-step drops from the gun. And then, you allow your defensive line to essentially go out there and feast and see if you can get a couple sacks. So that's the name of the game. That's it. Plain and simple. It is an easy game plan for Michigan. Win the early downs on both sides. You will have a chance. If you lose early downs, you will get eaten alive on both sides of the football, because you do not want to put Ohio State in a situation where they're having success running the football, because then you have to put a safety in the box and Marvin Harrison Jr. And for goodness sakes, can we please see Jackson Smith and Jigba this game? Maybe they've just been holding him out. I don't know what the hell's going on here. We ain't going to find out till kickoff.
You got to stop trying. You got to stop trying to make the Jigba happen. It's just not going to happen, dude.
It's happening this week, T-Bob. Shut your face. No, Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to come out there and have 8 catches for 120 and 2 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have 7 catches for $150 and a touchdown. Boom.
Look at the quarterback. He can't help himself. He just wants sexy quarterback play. Oh, my God. Dude. Give me the fist of Michigan getting ready to jam it up the Buckeye Brown hole once again, second year in a row. D. Wees says Iowa is seriously back-to-back Big Ten West champs. Let that sink in. Yeah. Well, they could be. They control their own destiny. But this actually brings up an interesting point that I read in the Columbus Dispatch, which is a great take. And Brum, I'd love to get your opinion on this as well. They basically kind of call up the point that enjoy this game because in the future, this game could feel less than it does this weekend. And look, it will not work out this way most years, but let's look forward into the Big Ten future where they are getting rid of divisions. If this was the setting a couple of years from now, Aaron, you would have these two teams playing this week, and then you would have these two teams immediately turning around and playing again next week. And then with the 12-team playoff, they could even potentially meet in the playoff for a third time. And that would definitely take away some of the all-or-nothing electricity that we are feeling in this game. And then so I started to think about this, and I'm like, wait a second. Yes, divisionless is the best way to try to determine from a fair standpoint who the best team in your conference is, but is it the most fun? Like, is it the best for football? Like in basketball,
you know what you could do? You know what you could do, T-Bob, and I think this is an interesting topic, especially for the Big Ten, is do you move this game out of the slot that it's in right now? If you're anticipating Michigan,
they've said they want to keep it. They said they want to keep it. That's all. I mean, I don't know.
I think to me that's a way to answer that. I think you move the game up to a spot where it's not okay. We both know we're going to be playing next week. That's the more important game. We can kind of coast. Who really gives a damn who wins this football game? You put it in, say, week 7. And then all of a sudden these guys are saying, it makes it a little bit more important. That, to me, that's the only way to make it happen. And then let's not forget, too, you are adding USC, and obviously we'll see what the hell goes on with UCLA, possibly Oregon and Washington. More competition in that conference may make that game a little bit more important down the line, too. So we'll see if that affects. But I think the one thing that easily makes it saves yourself if you do go divisionless is just moving the game to a different date.
It is interesting, though. Like, the NFL's not divisionless, right? And it works perfectly because you have garbage divisions where teams get to hold on hope that maybe they can do something because we're like Iowa fans are way more locked in right now this weekend than they should have any right to be. And again, it works in other sports where you play a million games, but I can't help but wonder, in football, is it more fun to have divisions? Brum, I'm sorry, I hear you trying to click in and we keep talking. What do you think?
I think if the TV networks could have Ohio State and Michigan play every week, they would. I think the idea
here we go.
Who wants to watch Michigan? Who wants to watch Michigan or Ohio State play Iowa next weekend? Not me.
Fair,
I will.
People would rather watch the rematch than watch.
I would 100% rather see it. Yes,
correct.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Obviously, it's like not.
I guess you're all right.
It is not as fun as the idea of winner take all for the one, but no one is excited about watching Ohio State play Iowa next week. And there's a 0% chance, like the idea that they would play each other, and then the playoffs would seed them together is like such
not seeded together. No. I mean, like, just the potential of they could, like, let's say they were both just really good that year. And whatever, that'd probably be tight if they met for a third time.
Yeah, my answer is that would be tight. That's like basically my answer when it comes to the playoffs. Like, people are like, what would happen if this game doesn't matter and then there's another awesome football game? I was like, well, that would be tight because I like big-time football stakes.
Yeah.
As does America.
Yeah, that's fair. Murray Mania says, who's this Baggins guy? Some basement-dwelling geek who only leaves to go to cosplay conventions? Hey, Bilbo T. Baggins is a former Division I LSU track athlete, okay? Show some freaking respect, Murray Mania. Aaron, get your people in line, okay? Get your ass in chat. Get your people in line. You're just going around
welcome
here.
Welcome to the chat, Murray Mania.
You're barking at adults, sniffing each other's buttholes. Well, guess what?
This is like your random doppelganger on Twitter who loves to at me with the most random shit ever. I'm like, who is this person?
Is this T-Bot? Is this the AI sentient program that's T-Bot Hebert? Yes. Yeah, I don't know who made that. It's very odd. My wife was freaked out by it, and I was like, I don't know, babe. It's the internet. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Look, let's be clear, though. Let's be clear. We will be the one sniffing the butts come Atlanta weekend, okay? And you will sniff our butts only if we allow you to. How about that, Aaron Murray? Because she's about to whoop that ass after we take care of A&M this weekend, dude.
Let's just focus on the Aggies first.
T-Bob, what do you think about the video game being delayed a year?
Yeah, so I'm sorry. I know that we've gone long. Imagine that. So we'll probably have to push back USC Notre Dame to Friday, maybe. But it was announced today. If you love EA Sports, NCAA football, like I think probably most of us do if you're here in this chat, it was expected to be out by summer 2023. Now, I say expected in quotes because there's never anything official there, right? In fact, Daryl Holt, the EA Sports Vice President General Manager, says that was conjecture. It has now been announced that they are aiming for summer 2024. It's expected to include all 134 FBS teams. And Holt says, look, the game is not delayed. The thing is, we're building it from the ground up. We don't want it to be a clone of Madden or old NCAA code. Take that for whatever it's worth. I mean, I have to imagine it shares a lot of code with Madden. But they don't want it to feel like a reskin. For a couple of years now, teams have been sending them audio, stadium information, all of this stuff to try to make that game day experience. He talks about how they are really trying to nail dynasty mode. That's like their core focus. And it makes sense, right? With NIL, you would now have to account for that in dynasty mode. You need to be able to raise money. You need to be able to pay players. Like, that's going to be fascinating. Transfer portal, you have to recruit high schoolers. You have to recruit your team. You have to recruit other teams. That's a lot to try to program now. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to code in the ability for you to have your school like switch conferences and stuff, right? Like, so as college football changes drastically, I do take all this at face value that there's a lot to do. But as Ryan Brumley maintains, how do you pay the players? They say that, they in seeking to get the NIL rights of players, they can be done through group licensing or individual licensing, but that doesn't really answer anything.
Definitely not individual licensing. This has to be a group licensing project. They're just trying to get an individual contract from every player to be able to use them. I mean, it'd be an absolute nightmare.
It's like, do some of the biggest players hold out? Like, remember Michael Jordan was never in our video games growing up. Barry Bonds wasn't in a lot of the baseball games growing up because he was like, F you, I'm not agreeing to this. Like, you got to pay me more than you pay Tony Kukoc if you want me to be in a video game with Tony Kukoc. Sorry, Tony.
Damn.
So I mean, Tony. Brum, do you have any idea? Because, Brum, you feel like this game, give the take. Give the people your take.
I just want to take where I'd love to be wrong, but I don't see it. I don't see a world where a game is collectively licensed with 134 schools. And so do the math, 134 schools times, let's say 100 players. That's
just say 100 players, yeah.
Yeah, so that's around 13,000
sorry, say 80.
No.
Just say 80.
80, yeah, it's just scholarship, guys. That's it.
Okay, so that's 10,000 players if you do 130 schools, 80 players.
Shit!
I'll believe it when I see it.
A lot of players, too.
10,000.
That's a lot of players.
And say how much you pay them each. Say you pay them 5,000 each.
There's no way.
Just a cool $52 million. That's wrong. So like NFL, we would always get a nice little $10,000 check from Madden, but that's 32 teams and 53 roster. That's about $16 million. I am a genius. I just really did that in my head right now. So go check me.
Not true. We talked about it before.
I did before the show. So it's about $16 million, which is significantly less than paying half that money to that amount of players, which ends up being $52 million. So what do you pay the kids, $1,000 each? I agree. Like if I'm CJ Stroud, you ain't giving me only $1,000 to be, one of the main guys on your video game. It's going to be a struggle to pay the big boys what they deserve to be on Madden or NCAA. Or do they just say, screw it, man, I get to be on a video game. Just give me anything. I'm happy to be on there. Like I'm getting, like if you're CJ Stroud or some of these big boys, Caleb Williams, like you're getting enough money. I would just say, I get to be on a video game. I want NCAA back. I grew up playing it. It's cool that I get to be on it. So I'll take whatever you give me. Let's just, what I need to sign.
We have to go, but I'm going to say, I'll believe it when I see it.
I don't know about you, Aaron, but I did believe, for me, being on a video game was one of the coolest moments of my life. I love video games. I've always loved video games. I grew up playing them constantly. Nothing made me happier than when it would rain outside, so my mom couldn't force me outside. Like, it's my favorite. It was so cool seeing myself represented digitally. So I wonder. I don't know. But these damn kids nowadays and their goddamn NIL deals, all they care about is money, Aaron Murray. What the hell, man? Damn Fabregas society being ruined.
What's funny? It's with NIL. It's hilarious. These kids act like they can't get through a semester without getting paid. Like I have my NIL company. We pay kids. We've paid kids over
Wait, did I just do a
$700,000.
parody of bitching about NIL and now you're actually bitching about NIL? Is that
bitching
what just
about NIL.
happened?
I'm not bitching about it. I'm not bitching about NIL. I'm just saying, because you're comparing two different eras of football players,
Yes,
these players literally feel like they can't get through a semester without getting paid. Like I get hit up all the time. Like, hey, when's my next check coming in? Like, I need some money for this, and this, and this. I'm like, dude, I played 4 years at University of Georgia without getting paid jack squat. I survived. There have been millions of college players ahead of you that have made it through 3 or 4 years without getting paid. And guess what? We did it. We did it, buddy.
Yeah, do it
they
like
literally can't ask.
Go get a law office job where you don't show up, okay, and collect a check. Like, come on, do it the right way. I remember I actually had to do shit at my law office job. I was so pissed. It's like copying.
Wait, you had like a law office job? You talk about like in college?
Yeah, and like I thought I was just gonna show up or not show up, and they were gonna pay me. But no, I'm in here
washed cars.
Collecting papers.
I washed cars at a local. I had a job before spring break my junior year where I'd go to the Dodge dealership and clean cars. No joke. I actually did do the work. I didn't just get paid. Like I actually went there and washed cars.
Were you shirtless? Was this like a Paris Hilton Burger King commercial deal? It's like a little, you want to come get a little rub down from Freeman?
Hey man, I work for tips. I work for tips, baby. Work for them tips. Oh, Cougars, all about it.
All right, well, we have to go. I can feel Brum yelling at me for continuing to talk. Again, y'all, huge thank you for hanging out with us here in the chat. We love this show. It's so much fun. Please, 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 wherever you listen to podcasts, rate it, review it, share it with your friends. I guess EA, hold on, I'm getting distracted. Please shout out FanDuel Sportsbook app, sign up, promo code SNAPS, okay? That helps show our bosses that people like the show. And now, the people that fund it all, FanDuel, are going to be happy. And shout out to Papa Colin and shout out to our excellent, excellent team members, Paul Farrington, Pat Gunner, Ryan Brumley, Danny Cardenas, everybody who makes this show happen. Huge thank you to you, Aaron Murray. And we love you all. We are going to be back on Friday. So a little bit of Thanksgiving break for the boys. Aaron, best of luck. I hope you have a new baby by then. Enjoy it. Fingers crossed. God bless. Be with mom and the new girl. And enjoy it. And we'll be back on Friday and then Saturday. So you all have a great day. More snaps coming up later.